Thank you for coming back. Now we will continue for module number 9. I will not go through the whole module, of course, because of time it will not be enough. We'll go through the first few slides. Of course, I think you are familiar with this the workshop implementation. We will cover module number 8 for performance evaluation. In performance evaluation, it will cover the clause number 9, which is the performance evaluation. Clause 9.1, monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. 9.2, it's the internal audit, and 9.3, it will be the management review. In the subclause 9.1, we have to cover some important facts, like the definition of monitoring and measurement objectives. As we agreed that everything in life we are doing for a reason. Then here also we are doing these processes for a reason. Then we have to define what are the objectives and what we need to monitor. It's very important to understand what do we need to monitor, what do we need to achieve. We define our objectives, then we have to define what to monitor and how to measure. Also, we have to define who is responsible for monitoring and measuring activities, who is responsible for monitoring and measurement activities, and the frequency of the monitoring. Do we need to monitor every 1 minute, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes? It will be different periods according to the processes. Yani, for example, if I am monitoring memory and processor utilization for a processor, it can be done every 1 minute. But if I am monitoring VPN availability, it can be done every 1 hour and so on. Also, we have to define what are the methods and tools which we want to use, and frequency of the data analysis and evaluation, and who will be the responsible person, and who is the responsible person for the evaluation. Finally, to whom the analysis it will be reported. Of course, as we mentioned, the results it will be reported to the top management. Results, it will be reported for the top management. In the internal audit subclause, internal audit, it defined you have to define an audit program, and we have to define who is responsible person for the audit program, and to select the auditors, and to perform the audit, and to propose the audit results to the top management. Finally, the management review. Management review, we have to prepare the documents for the management review. Management, we have to review all the documents which it will be provided to them and make some recommendations and outputs and decisions for improving the ISMS and the ISO implementation. Of course, after the management, it will make this exercise. This means that we have to follow up these recommendations until it's really or live implemented to ensure effectiveness of the ISMS system and the ISO implementation as well. Okay. Now let's go through the information conclusion which are important and mandatory for the implementation of the ISO. We have some definitions which we have to understand. What does monitoring mean? Monitoring is to define the status of a system or a process. Define status of a system or a process. You have measurement, that you have to define a specific value. You have to define a value or range of values. It depends upon the attribute which you are measuring. Then what is the analysis? Analysis, this is the process of examining the nature of a system or process. This the process of examine the nature of or system or process and its relation with the other components. Evaluation. This is the process of determining measurable results. This is the process of determining measurable results. And if you remember, I gave you an analogy before, which I told you monitoring, measurement, analysis, evaluation, it is equivalent to data, knowledge, experience, data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. This, it will be the analogy for the monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. And you can refer to the recording to get more details about this analogy. Okay, in point number 1, we mentioned that we have to define the objectives. What are the objectives of the monitoring and measurement? First of all, we have to monitor the ISMS processes and procedure effectiveness and efficiency. We have to ensure that the ISMS is properly configured, it's effective, and it's achieving its objectives. We have to monitor and measure the critical assets and the processes. Then this it will be another issue. Another objective. Why do we have monitoring and measurement? We want to measure the ISMS processes and procedures. We want to measure the critical assets and processes, and if it's really help the organization in achieving its goals and objectives. We want to confirm compliance to local law and international laws and regulation. Also, we want to help the management in decision making. We have to provide them the right information in time, then we will be able to take the strategic decision regarding the business and objectives. Also, we want to provide a preventive approach for security incidents. We want to minimize security incident as much as we can. We want to prevent the security incident. We don't want that the security incident, it will happen when we have a problem and to take a corrective action. No, we want to have a preventive approach to prevent the security incidents. Okay, also we have to check what do we need to monitor and measure. What do we need to monitor and measure? Here we have to monitor the critical processes, procedures, activities, assets. Also, we have to be compliant with local laws and regulations. We have to measure and monitor the incident management process and its effectiveness, change management process and its effectiveness, configuration management process and its effectiveness. We have to monitor the awareness program and evaluate it. We have to monitor the internal audits and evaluate it. We have to monitor the risk assessment processes and risk treatment progress, plan progress. We have to measure and monitor the business continuity and systems monitoring. And finally, the ISMS processes, as we mentioned before. These are some of the assets and the processes which we want to monitor and to make sure that it's effective and it's able to achieve its objectives. Who is responsible for monitoring and measurement? This requirement number 2. We have multiple roles here. What are these roles and what are their responsibilities? Here you will find measurement client. Who is the measurement client? Measurement client is any entity who requires monitoring. Any entity who requires monitoring for a specific asset or process. It may be a management, it may be a stakeholder, external or internal. Okay, measurement planner. Who is the measurement planner? It is the entity who designed the measurement requests by binding measuring attributes to business needs. For example, the management, we are saying we want to monitor the internet bandwidth performance. internet bandwidth performance. When the measurement planner, he will come and say, okay, I want to measure the bandwidth, I want to measure number of users accessing the internet, I want to measure the speed of internet download and upload. Then he will define all the attributes which you have to monitor to achieve the objective of the monitoring defined by the management or by the stakeholders. We have another role for the information owner. Who is the information owner? Information owner, he is the person or the entity which owns the data, which provide information for measurement processes. It may be manufacturing process, and this manufacturing process we have a data. Then we have to coordinate with the business owner to collect this data and make the analysis and measure or monitor against our measurement requirements. Information collector. This is the entity who is responsible for collecting and storing the data. He may collect data from different servers for devices or processes. For example, he is collecting data from servers, desktops, firewalls, proxy servers, processes, manufacturing processes, and so on. Then he is collecting data from different resources and store it in a central location. Then he will be able to monitor measure. Information analyzer. He is a person who will analyze all this information and provide the report into the management. Forget about point number 4. I think there is a problem in the slide. We'll go direct to point number 5. Monitoring and measuring frequency. ISO 27001 does not indicate any monitoring or measurement frequency or methods or tools. ISO does not mandate any frequencies or methodologies or tools for monitoring, measurement, analysis, or evaluation. They are saying it depends upon the organization's objectives. Then they will never ask you how you do this, but they will ask you what are the results of the monitoring and measurement. If you would say that we are doing the frequency monitoring every 1 day, every 1 week, every 1 month, and so on, and you have rigid program or management incident process, then this will be accepted. Again, as we mentioned for the tools, ISO does not indicate any methods or tools. Then if you are doing even on syslog server or even on Excel sheet or very sophisticated software like SIM or whatever, it's up to you. It's up to the organization objectives. Data analysis frequency. Again, we discussed this regarding the frequency, methodology, and tools. Okay, data analysis and evaluation responsible person. Who is a responsible person? Of course, the organization, we have to appoint a responsible person or division. It may be a person or division. It depends upon the size of the data which the organization want to monitor and measure. If it's an enterprise company, then we need more than one person, and we may have a division who is responsible for the monitoring and the measurement. Or if it's small, then it may be one person. He will be enough. Okay, who is the person which should be received the results of the evaluation? Of course, the evaluation results or monitoring, I mean monitoring and measurement and evaluation results should be proposed to the top management. Should be proposed to the top management, and it will be considered a main part. It will be considered a main part in the management review process, which we will discuss in the next few slides. It will be management process review, important part in the management process review, which we will discuss in the next few slides. Okay, then we will have the audit or the internal audit. What is the audit? The audit is a systematic and documented process. It's a process for obtaining objective evidence obtaining objectives evidence, and evaluate this objective evidence to the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled. In other words, you have standards, you will check what is on the ground, and you have to compare between these two, and if there is any mismatching this, it will be considered as findings. What are the audit types? We have internal audits and external audits. Internal audits, these are the audits which the company do it itself, for themselves, for their compliance and to provide reports for the management. External audits, these are the audits which are performed by a third party, from outside, I mean. Okay. Let's continue today the audit, and we will hold on after the audit, and we will continue tomorrow the other things. We develop the audit program. In the audit program, it must consist of the following information. What are the audit objectives? What are the audit scope and boundaries? The time frame for the audit? What are the expected results? Reports, what are the tools which it will be used in the audit program, what are the assets and processes which would be audited, and what is the background and experience of the auditors. Also, if there is any resources are required, and the management approval and commitment for the audit, and the auditors must have choose the auditors to in the way to avoid any conflict of interest. Appoint audit program responsible person. It's very important that to have a responsible person for the audit program, and he will be responsible for evaluating this program and to ensure the effectiveness and efficiency of the program and to provide the required information and the findings to the management. Selecting the auditors, as we mentioned, selecting auditors is very important, but the auditors, you have to choose them very carefully to avoid the conflict of interest. And this conflict of interest, it happens if the auditor was working in audited division or process 1 year before the audit date. Also, the auditors, we must have full privilege access to the resources to be able to make the audit, and this privilege, it must provided to them provided formally by the organization top management. Conduct the audit. We have to do the exercise of the audit to check what is existing on ground and to compare it with the processes, and to find if there is any gaps or findings. Finally, the audit results, it should be provided to the organization top management. These are the points. I think this is a management review. I prefer to postpone this till tomorrow, inshallah. Today I will stop here. Tomorrow we will